All right, guys. We are ready to start the live stream. And let me know individually when your parents all get in. You can just say it out loud. Just come on online and say it out loud, just because I've got a lot of windows open right now. And as you can see, I am old and doing computer stuff is a little hard for old people. Just kidding. All right. So let me know when they get it on. I'm about to send the email now, and it will be in their mailboxes momentarily. Thank you. All right. Looks like everything is working. I'm watching the live stream on a different screen, and it looks like we've got our first um, page up there. So Nova, Sawyer, Ishani, and Avi, each of you, let me know when your parents are in. Let me know when they are here so that we can then get started.
My parent is.
Okay.
My parent isn't.
Isn't or is?
Is.
Okay, good, good. Okay. And remember, and what's that?
Same.
Okay, is Shawnee as well? Good.
Yeah, same. My parents were.
All right, so everybody's in. Good. All right. Then I guess we will get started now. Are you guys ready? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the award ceremony and our speech showcase for Capital Debate Session 2 online course. My name is Bradley Hicks. I was the director of this particular class, the teacher, the instructor, and I had a really great time teaching your kids. Class, the first thing I want to ask you all to do is please come off of mute and do us all a favor, please. Please give your parents a round of applause for enrolling you in this class. We really appreciate it. And how do we do it here? We snap, we clap, and we give some love. Thank you all so much for having your kids with us. We really appreciate that. And we appreciate your time today. We're going to try not to take too much of your time, but we do want to, show off a little bit of what we've done and the work that we've put in over the last 2 weeks. And these guys are really, they're ready to really show you what they have done, how they have grown, and I really think that you're going to enjoy it. The first thing that we will take a look at is our class. This, of course, is you all, you know who you are, and that the name of the course, of course, is public speaking and debate. So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of the nature of the course. I'm sure you knew this going in, but the first week we focused on public speaking. We had each student actually write a speech, and that's what you'll be hearing today. And that speech was put together in 1 week, and it was built from scratch from ideas that the students themselves actually had. And they came out great. One of the best things about that first week is that you can really polish a speech. And with a class this small, we got a lot of one-on-one time. And so we got a lot of opportunities to really dig deep and see what these kids could do when they put their mind to it, when they take a look at every single aspect of giving a speech and kind of combine them all. The second week is debate, and we debate a format that requires speakers to ad lib, to be very in the moment, to think their way through the debate. And this was hard. This was a very difficult process. They will admit that to you too, but they all grew. And another one of the most beautiful things about this particular class was that these kids were hard to judge. So when I give a first place award today, you need to know that every single student in here was within 9 points out of a total 300-point scale of the first place person. So everybody was great. Okay. It was really, really hard to distinguish who was a little better in this round, who was a little better in that round, as far as the debate side goes. So besides that, I think that you will also see how good they were and how close together they are when we hear their speeches. So let's quickly just talk. Well, there's me. I guess you can see me already, but there's me. I'm your senior instructor, Bradley Hicks. And that's required that has to be on every slideshow, apparently. Otherwise, I wouldn't put it up there. One of the things that we also added to this course, and this course is a very valuable course in lots of different ways, but one of the things that we also do is we do leadership lessons. And the leadership lessons that we do, sometimes they involve games and activities and things to kind of push ourselves. The leadership lessons teach communication, character, community, problem solving, conflict resolution, and we talk about our future self. One of the reasons why we do this is because Capital Debate believes that a person should not be an awful person, and then we teach them how to be even more awful by allowing them to communicate their awfulness even more. And I certainly don't think that Capital Debate could could in any way overcome the instructions of a parent. And a parent obviously does that work the most. And you all have raised some excellent children here, but we do try to push it, and we do try to say that in the real world, you have to actually be a leader. You have to be a person of character. You have to actually join in your community and help each other and have friends, etc. And hopefully, this ability to communicate can really help all of that side of their life, as well as being able to put it into work academically. Academically, they're going to grow from experience. They're going to grow from what they do, and they're going to become adults who have big goals and big desires. But right now, we want to make sure that they know that communication is for making the world a better place. And if you're not trying to make the world a better place, you're probably trying to make it a worse place. And that's not what we want. And these guys really dug in and did their hardest there as well. And I think some of them really learned a thing or two. That's probably something you could talk to them about a little bit more. But they really kind of bought into everything that I said. When it comes to a class that really tried to do what I asked them to do, this has been one of the best. So thank you all. Congratulations to you for finishing the course. And now we're going to quickly move on. All right. Our first certificate goes to Abby. Abby, congratulations. It was really great to have you in class. We really enjoyed your input on things. Abby has done debate outside of Capital before, and so he had some opportunities to share ideas about other forms of debate, etc., and things that we really, kind of like tried to put in place for the whole group. And we try to actually show Abby as well how he could put what we have into his work in the real world, in the competitive world of public forum and Lincoln Douglas debate as well. Next, we have Ashani. Ashani was a really, really hard worker who pushed everybody to be their best at every moment. We loved having her in the class. She had some of the best comments, I think, in the class as far as commenting on what was going on, how you could move forward, how arguments actually are built, etc. Ashani, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. Then, of course, there's Sawyer. Sawyer provided a little bit of levity on occasion. He's a very funny, very clever guy. He did, however, really push us all to be our best as well and work really hard. Sawyer, it's been a lot of fun having you in the class as well. Thank you. And last but not least is Nova. Nova, once again, your first speech I thought was amazing. And I thought that it was one of the, it's one of the best speeches I've heard from a kid your age in a while. And it was really refreshing to hear somebody write that well. So Nova's really got a mind that takes things apart and puts them back together. And I really appreciated that, especially in the speech that we're all going to hear today. Now, that was a small class. These types of things usually take much longer because we have much larger classes. Not a big deal, though. So what that means is that we now have to go on and move on to our award ceremony. And because there's only 4 people, we're only going to give out 2 awards, a runner-up and a champion. And like I said, when it comes to our tournament and the way that we judged the students through the tournament, they were really, really close. Less than 10 points between the top 4, between all 4 of our competitors in that tournament. So without any further ado, our runner-up in the tournament was Sawyer. Congratulations, Sawyer. Great job. Let's all give him a hand. Good job there, Sawyer. All right. And finally, our top speaker in the tournament was Abby. Abby, congratulations to you. Take a bow. Well, thank you so much for that. Great job. And that concludes that. Ladies and gentlemen, the next part of our actual presentation here will be the students themselves. We're going to go in alphabetical order via last name. So you know who you are. It's going to be Abby. Then it will be Shani, then Sawyer, and Nova will bring us up at the rear. Okay. So if I forget to pin you, say, Coach Bradley, pin me. So that meaning, you're going to be the first person on the screen here. So here we go. Our showcase will begin shortly. All right. Bobby, I do believe that you are first. Please come off
right.
mute, and whenever you're ready, you may begin.
The world is about to go into the largest energy crisis that it has ever seen. Within the next 100 years, our three biggest sources of energy, oil, gas, and coal, will completely run out. Renewable energy as we know it won't be enough to sustain the whole world. The solution? Nuclear power. The world needs to switch to nuclear power if we want to continue living as we are, for three main reasons. First, it's an unmatched efficiency. Second, it's unwavering reliability. And third, it's a sound environmental safety. The first reason is nuclear power's high energy efficiency. The enriched uranium that nuclear power uses is extremely energy dense, with one thimble-sized unit weighing just 10 grams, having the equivalent energy density of 1 ton of coal, 120 gallons of oil, or 17,000 cubic feet of natural gas. This means that we can have far fewer power plants that work on nuclear power than we would need for power plants that work on fossil fuels or renewables. In a world with an exponentially growing population, we need every last bit of healthy land that we can get to house humans, and nuclear power gives us this land. The second reason is due to nuclear power's unwavering reliability. Renewable energy isn't the most reliable, and the batteries that it uses to store energy aren't advanced enough to supply power to the entire world when renewables are down. However, nuclear doesn't have this issue. Nuclear power can work 24/7, 365 days a year at over 90% capacity to make sure that our homes, hospitals, and industries get as much power as they need whenever they need it. And the last reason is due to the environmental sustainability of nuclear power. The main reason we need to switch away from fossil fuels is due to the immense amount of pollution that they create. However, nuclear power produces zero greenhouse gases. It produces zero carbon dioxide, zero methane, and zero of the pollutants that cause acid rain or smog. To put this into perspective, the amount of nuclear waste generated by the entire US nuclear industry across its entire lifetime could fit in just one football field. However, the US's fossil fuel industry produces billions of metric tons of gaseous waste every single year. The choice is simple. We can either have a relatively small, easy to manage solid waste that's also easy to get rid of, or we can have a extremely large, unmanageable gaseous waste that is extremely deadly to the environment. The choice is simple. Many critics of nuclear power would take examples of Chernobyl or Three Mile Island as to why it's unsafe. However, these incidents were caused due to human error, and with proper training, we can make sure that these incidents never happen again. In conclusion, the world needs to switch to nuclear power in the near future for three main reasons. First, its unmatched efficiency. Second, its unwavering reliability. And third, its environmental safety. In the future, we won't be debating between which forms of power to use, but rather, We'll either have a future powered by the atom or no future at all. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Avi. Yes, give him some love. Great job. All right. Next, we will hear from Ashani.
Philip Limbury is the CEO of the Farm Animal Welfare Charity, and he has seen the truth behind thousands of barn doors. He says, the urgency to end factory farming has never been greater. This brings me to our topic of how the animal agriculture industry severely impacts the environment, the animals, and us. Therefore, the current practices in this industry must be improved. Firstly, because of its negative effects on the environment. Secondly, the risk it poses towards public health. And finally, for the welfare of their animals themselves. Therefore, if we want to create a better future for all species, we must improve this industry. Firstly, this industry has negative effects on the environment. Almost 15% of all global gas emissions come from this industry. This number will only go up as the population increases as well as the demand for meat and dairy products. This shows us that we are overconsuming an unsustainable amount of food. It is a major factor of global warming and climate change. However, the public awareness on this topic is low. Secondly, this industry puts public health at severe risk. The One Health Initiative says that antimicrobial resistance forms among animals and humans. This is due to the widespread use of antibiotics. The widespread use of antibiotics can lead to antibodies forming. These antibodies prevent us from successfully treating disease. Not only does this affect the animals, but also the humans who are consuming their products. A recent example of this was the bird flu outbreak. However, not only did this outbreak affect the animals and the humans, but also the big companies who lost millions of dollars in money. Finally, we need to improve for the animals themselves. New York Times said, factory farm operators believe that it is best for people to not know what goes on behind their closed barn doors. This is due to the unimaginable amount of cruelty and abuse that these animals face. As I spoke on before, antibodies sometimes lead to whole flocks or herds of animals getting killed. However, this isn't the only case in which massacres occur. Nearly 1 billion animals are killed hourly across the globe. However, only 55% of them are used for actual consumption. By the year 2050, it is shown that nearly all breeds of farm animals will be close to extinction. So, as we can see, the dangers of this industry are quite serious. As I quoted him before, Philip Limbury also said, it is the biggest source of animal cruelty, extinction, species loss, accounts for 15% of all global gas emissions released, and poses serious risk to public health. So therefore, if we can change the treatment of our animals, control the gas emissions released, and lower the amount of antibiotics used, we will be able to create a better future for all species. Thank you.
Excellent. That might be the best that I've seen that speech. That was really, really good. And you've added a few little wordings in there too that I really like. Barn door is a good way of, having a word that represents what you're talking about. And it's kind of touching to people who've been around barns, et cetera. Yeah, it's you pulled some good rhetoric in there. Love it. All right, next, Sawyer, you are up.
Friedrich Jacob, a philosopher in the 17th century, invented nihilism, the ideology that everything in life is meaningless and therefore pointless as well. He was one of the first philosophers to make these kind of claims when the belief in deities were still largely popular by people. Likewise, determinism suggests that nothing happens by free will or choice, just that it's a cause of a chain reaction from the beginning of the universe to where that brings us today. Determinism often gives us excuses to our problems, but doesn't give us solutions which should be criticized. I'll now give 3 arguments dismantling this ideology. First, determinism neglects moral consequences Second, determinism undermines our inclination to ambition. And last, I'll provide a solution that offsets these negatives. When we take determinism into practice, we often ignore the moral consequences that come with it. Take, for example, defense attorneys that have actual success in defining people's mental illness and therefore their culpability. If we took every single experience that this person has committed into account, that means that we should directly correlate this to the amount of penalty they should face. To further point out the absurdity of this conclusion, the Department of Justice has stated in 2017 that 7 out of 10 people that has been released after 5 years of their release, they were arrested again. Take in mind that most of these people were given leniencies due to them being first-time offenders or them having excruciating circumstances that brought them to this point. This directly correlates to this ideology of determinism, and this is not good. Although it's important to show compassion to some people, it is also important to note this only explains why the criminals are here, not how to solve it. We have to stop this at some point before this directly contradicts our definitions of justice. Next, when you're not satisfied with something, you will want to change it, won't you? This directly correlates with my next idea, which is that the congruent idea of hopelessness that determinism brings should be criticized. If you have no accountability for yourself, then there is no need to change. People need to have ambition because if there is none, then there is only experience to be had. You can't hold yourself accountable if there's only just experience. This is not true, is it? Brilliant people all over the world in our history and even now change our worlds for themselves and others, and this should hold true forever. Now that I've provided the harms for determinism, I will now provide a solution. Albert Camus, a French philosopher in the 19th century, once said, "Realization that life is absurd cannot be an end, but a beginning." He suggests that instead of going for easy truths such as determinism, you should face the absurdity of the universe head on and find your own meaning. It is your job to not fall for these conclusions and to explore your own world without fear. To find determinism as truth is to fail in achieving meaning. Determinism diminishes the joys that hold us together, either by neglecting our morality, our ambition, or just the sheer void that it leaves us to be with. Determinism is often used to explain our behaviors, but often fails to excuse it. To take determinism as truth is to give up the very things that makes us human. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right. And finally, we have Nova. Nova, go ahead.
Nearly 6% of the entire federal budget is just used on maintaining our transportation infrastructure. This huge amount of spending is not sustainable in the long term if we don't make big changes soon, which is why America's outdated transportation infrastructure is in dire need of a thorough restructuring. First, I'll talk about how congested roadways cost us time and money. Second, I'll describe how America's aging infrastructure poses a safety hazard. And lastly, I'll discuss how America's current infrastructure issues have no easy solutions, and why all these things reduce our competitiveness. First, let's have a look at roadway congestion. Overburdened roadways create daily congestion issues throughout America. According to a 2018 study conducted by INRIX, the world leader in mobility analytics, congestion costs the average American 97 hours lost time and over $1,300 worth of lost wages. This huge amount of time could be used productively, but ends up lost, costing Americans both time and money. Furthermore, $1,300 per person is over $400 billion worth of lost national GDP. It's essential that America improves its transportation infrastructure if we wish to remain competitive. But money and time are not the only costs of poor infrastructure. Aging infrastructure poses a serious public safety hazard. In 2007, the Minneapolis I-35 bridge collapsed, throwing dozens of cars into the freezing cold Mississippi River. 13 people never made it back home, and nearly 150 others were injured. This incident is just one of the consequences of having poor infrastructure. In fact, according to the ARTBA 2024 bridge report, nearly 42,100 bridges all across America have been found to be in poor condition. This means they're more prone to collapse. Bridge collapses are catastrophic, often resulting in massive property damage and dozens of injuries or even deaths. But bridge collapses are only a tiny part of America's deeper infrastructure issues. If we want to maintain our public safety standards, we need to overhaul our infrastructure. Finally, the problems that plague America's current infrastructure cannot be solved with quick or easy solutions. According to the American Society of Civil Engineers, America's critical infrastructure projects will be underfunded by over $3 trillion over the next decade if current spending trends continue. By 2039, this drain on efficiency is projected to cost us over $10 trillion, or almost double the entire federal budget. If this trend is not stopped soon, the financial burdens could grow out of control, which is why it's essential that America reforms its infrastructure. A staggering amount of money is put into America's infrastructure every single year. It's clear that this ever-growing expense is not sustainable. America's aging infrastructure is draining money, time, and even lives. And it's clear that a bold, comprehensive change is needed, and fast. The cost of inaction is simply too high. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nova. All right. Let's have another little round of applause for you all. Great job there on those speeches. And we will continue on now with the last part of our presentation. Parents and campers. Campers, I told you about this yesterday. We do have surveys that you can fill out to talk about what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy, about your participation here in camp, in our virtual camp. So campers, if you want to, just scan that code, and then parents, you could scan the code at top, and that will give us a little bit of an insight into what you thought about our programming. Capital Debate does use parent feedback and student feedback to try to mold its programs, both in person and online, into the things that you think that you need and that you want from our type of a business. And we are proud to make sure that we try to get back with parents who have major concerns as quickly as possible. I doubt we'd have any major concerns from this, but if you have little things that you want to talk about, things that could be done better, things that might work better, especially you campers, you experienced this course. If you have something to tell us, please fill out the survey and let us know your opinions. We also want to offer a couple of options here for you to save some money if you plan on using Capital Debates programs in the future. If you do register today for a camp next summer, whether it be an in-person camp or a online camp, if you sign up today, you can save $300 off of an in-person camp. Oh, I'm sorry, off of an in-person camp. You do save something off of an online camp. I don't remember if that's the full 300. I think it would probably be something along the lines of half of that, but don't quote me on that. $300 off if you use the coupon code 2026 alumni. After today, you can still save $100 off of next year's camp just by using that same coupon code. But that code is worth 3 times the value if you decide to book that for next year today. when we book camps, anything that we get early, any absolute numbers that we get early really helps us shape the camps and know where we need to go bigger and know where we need to go smaller, etc. We do have camps all over the country in California, Washington, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Boston, North Carolina, etc. And 7 different camps in New Jersey, I believe. So yes, if you sign up there, and one more thing at the bottom here is if you sign up today, you can transfer your locations all the way up to April 1st of next year. So if you decide to sign up today for a camp in Los Angeles, but then you realize that you're going to be further up the coast, you could book our camp at Cal Berkeley. So that sort of thing could be done up through April 1st. We also have what we call the Club Debate League. The Club Debate League is taught by Capital coaches, and this is specifically for students who don't have a debate team at their school or don't want to compete at in-person camps. This kind of came about partly during COVID, but I mean, we were already doing online classes, but when we work this into an actual league, we get competitors from all over the country who can debate against each other virtually, and it's just as valuable, I think, as being able to go to in-person debate tournaments. This particular league offers weekly online meetings. They're either on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. They're at either 7 o'clock or at 8:10 Eastern time. The courses are held over 4 quarters. 2 virtual tournaments happen per quarter where you would be judged by people like myself, people like other coaches who would judge your debates. They also have specialized weekend workshops that are offered on Sundays from 1 to 5. Each week you have a new topic for those specialized courses. The same format that you used here in debate camp will be used in the classes. And then this, of course, is an opportunity for you to stay connected with and compete against people that maybe you meet at camp or people that you will meet in those courses from all over the world. Here are the prices for the Club Debate League. Doing this and running this type of a tournament is not cheap, but we do have value for you, both in what you can save and in the value that it offers to your students. Today, you can get $200 off using the 2026 Club coupon code. So if you decide to register for 1 quarter, 2, 3, or 4, you can save money off of our regular rate, and your student can actually participate in those debates. We did have a student in one of the classes that we did, or my class from a couple weeks ago, who was really interested in getting involved in that. And we've had people who come from that Club Debate League and actually end up getting jobs with Capital Debate as well. One thing that I'm not sure we're not going to talk about this directly on slides, I don't think, but we do have a program for debaters. It's a young leadership program that teaches basically how to help run the camps that we run. And you could actually be both a debater and a junior counselor at our camps. And then if you apply for a job after that, there's quite a possibility that you could actually work for us. This summer, I believe we've got 6 or 7 different former students who are working for us at camps. So who knows? You could turn that into a job. You could turn that into a summer opportunity for yourself, students, if you are interested in that. Also, that program is not just for people who are in the Club Debate League. That program could be just even if you just went to our camps. So if you are looking to get more information about that, email us at team@capitaldebate.com. That email, I'm sure your parents know. It's just the word team@capitaldebate.com if you are interested in that. This has been our course. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our presentation. As always, we want to thank you all for being here, parents and friends and family. And we also want to thank the students for their participation in camp. It's been really amazing. And thank you so much for your time. Students, I'll see you back in the regular room. That will conclude our live stream for today. Again, from Capital Debate, thank you so much for sharing your kids with us for the summer.